Running a cow farm on my ranch was one of my greatest sources of pride. The herd was healthy, the pastures lush, and I had spent years building fences, barns, and irrigation systems to ensure everything ran smoothly. Life was predictable and peaceful, until Karen and her HOA decided they wanted to regulate my operations. One morning, I received a letter stamped with the HOA seal, declaring that my cow farm was in violation of zoning regulations and would be shut down immediately. According to them, my cattle operations were illegal, and I had 48 hours to cease activity or face fines and legal action. First, I was shocked. My cows had been grazing there for years, and all my structures were permitted and legal under county law. I called the HOA office, expecting a rational discussion, but instead, I got Karen screaming into the phone about bylaws, community oversight, and unauthorized agricultural activity. She made it sound like I had set up a secret feedlot in her backyard. I decided to investigate. I drove to the main gate of the farm, expecting a blockade, and sure enough, there was a tall, official-looking gate with a "Stop HOA" enforcement sign and a security guard standing at attention. It looked serious, but something about it seemed off. The guard wouldn't let me pass, yet he seemed nervous and kept glancing over his shoulder. That's when I noticed it. The entire setup was a decoy. The real entrance to my farm, which I had built years ago for utility and supply trucks, was hidden behind a line of trees and a small dirt path, completely bypassing the gate Karen had thought was blocking me. I had installed it intentionally years ago for situations exactly like this. The gate she had relied on to assert authority was purely symbolic, with no real control over access. Smiling, I casually walked through the hidden entrance with my truck and trailer loaded with hay. The cows looked up from grazing, calm as ever, while I made my way to the barn. Karen, meanwhile, had no idea her blockade was irrelevant. She had assumed that, by putting up the fake gate, she could intimidate me into compliance. What she didn't realize was that I had built redundancy and security into every aspect of the farm, from hidden gates to cameras and alarms, ensuring that no interference could halt operations. I documented everything carefully. Photos of the decoy gate, maps of the hidden access, and videos of the cows grazing peacefully were sent to the HOA and county authorities. Karen tried to argue that the farm was still violating rules, but the documentation made it impossible for her to enforce anything. The county backed me immediately, confirming that my operations were fully legal and that any attempt by the HOA to shut me down would constitute harassment and trespassing. Over the next few weeks, I added extra layers of security around the farm, ensuring that no one could interfere again, even if they tried to erect another decoy gate. Neighbors who had been watching the drama unfold whispered about Karen's incompetence. The HOA had believed they had the power to halt a fully operational farm, only to be outsmarted by a combination of preparation, foresight, and a little cunning. By the end of the ordeal, my cow farm was thriving, my cows undisturbed, and Karen's reputation completely shattered. The gate she had relied on to assert authority became a running joke among the neighbors, a symbol of her failure to understand property rights and real-world logistics. I had not only defended my farm but had done so in a way that highlighted her arrogance and lack of foresight. That experience cemented a principle I live by: never underestimate the power of preparation, and never assume that someone can block you without knowing every corner of your property. Karen learned the hard way that sometimes the gates that look threatening are just illusions, and the real access is already under your control.